Hey guys, okay, we're back in the building. Let me know if you guys are ready to get cracking with the modulation, and then we can kick it down. Kick it down. Right. Good morning, Elif. Yeah, perfect. Okay, let's do this. So, hang on to your hats here, guys. It's gonna get mighty squirrely now. Okay, so I think I've like provided quite a lot of context for what modulation is and where we would use it. You're not going to use this in every track. You're going to use it in the big tracks, in the big moments, in that emotional thing that you want to use to open your album, in that intro that you want for your live set. Where you'd use it a lot more often is if you ever want to do film work, because I think in film you've got to modulate. It's kind of funny because just to give you a little bit of context, and so you guys understand pop, all right? Now, say what you like about pop. I obviously don't listen to pop music, and I absolutely detest most of it. But the really well-written pop, exceptionally well-written, is exceptionally well-written. I don't know if you guys know a Swedish dude called Max Martin, but he basically wrote for like The Weeknd, and he wrote some stuff for Adele, and he's a huge writer. He's got a massive catalog. And just out of interest, sometimes I watch his videos, and what's immediately apparent is just the scale of how big this world is of writing for pop, okay? Now, writing is, of course, lyrics, and it's, you know, it's like they take some young starlet like Britney Spears, and they basically bring in all these writers. But these writers are serious writers. These people are not fucking around, and they have a huge arsenal of techniques and tools and modulations and stuff that they can use, which is why it's massive music. You know, if you go listen to, you say what you want about Adele, but I mean, the chord progressions are fucking incredible. So I want you guys to get into the habit of writing, of getting to the space like a composer would. And I'm trying to get my team into the space as well. We get together, we've got these circles drawn all over the place, and we like having fun with theory. Am I right, Tash? We're starting to do it more and more as a team. It's like a team exercise. Everyone's in the room and you've got these fucking circles. It looks like a mad science lab. And it's a lot of fun. And I love it. It's a lot of fun for me. They're probably like, can't wait to get the fuck out of here. But I just want you guys to realize that when you're talking about commercial music, because we're all making commercial music now. There's underground, but we're all on Spotify. My Spotify has got to compete with the Weeknd Spotify at the end of the day if I want to sell tickets to my shows. So when you really look at the high levels, the upper echelons, the level's extremely high, and the more techniques you have, the better. So as much as modulation is not something that you're going to need every track or every day if you're writing techno, it is something that if you know it's going to set you apart. And where I started this is I was looking at this analysis of the chord progression theory of a couple of songs, like, I don't know, songs I absolutely hate, but like Taylor Swift and stuff. But I was pretty damn impressed. And obviously Taylor Swift is not writing those chords. I seriously doubt she is. Respect to her if she is. But whoever is writing those melodies is extremely skilled. And there were a lot of modulations. So even when I was looking at like the Beatles and stuff, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. The music there is really good. And even those guys, man, they were serious. They'd sit down and bounce ideas, and they're all trained musicians. So what I'm trying to say is the level out there is really high for pop. Equip yourself with as many tools as you can. Modulation is one of those tools. It's a fantastic tool. It immediately sets you apart from other composers. And that's pretty much it. And have fun and do it with your friends and make it a collective exercise. And this is why the circle that I've given you is so powerful, because it's a common tool that you can use between anybody who's in your environment, and you can start exchanging ideas. I can literally send you guys a circle tomorrow and say, hey, what do you think of this progression? You can play it and voice it in the way that you like. So very powerful business. Okay, let's go. Let's share these notes here. Sorry, Johnny, that was a quick 5 minutes, Dougie. Was it exactly? Okay. Yeah, I also felt that it was quick. It's fine. I'm just excited. Cool. Right, so I've got a little thing in my notes here. Setting up for a modulation, okay? A modulation is different from a key change because in order to modulate, we need to move the entire key signature into a new key, okay? So I've said here, in order to modulate, we've got to change into a parallel musical universe all voicing, the key signatures must follow. No equivocation. If you leave your listener confused, they're going to be confused. It's not going to make any sense. It's going to completely upset the tonality of the song. This is a delicate movement. It's a difficult movement to do, and you've got to set it up very smartly. Okay, smartly. Okay, I don't like this. We'll come back and have a look at some of these other points. I think another noteworthy here is it's very beneficial to have a repeating progression in both keys, but I'll show you that. It's a bit premature to be saying that. But if you have a vague idea of how you're going to do a modulation, if I'm going C, G in one key to 1/5, I'll probably move to the next key, and I'll probably try initially to just do the same progression in a parallel musical universe. Okay, so let's look. So what are we modulating to? How the fuck are we doing it? What does that even mean? I think the easiest way to understand it is for me to just demonstrate it practically, okay? So the kind of modulation we're going to do today is called the pivot chord modulation. It means that we're going to find one differentiator chord that's different between two key signatures, and we're going to move from one to the other, okay? So if that's confusing, don't worry. Let's do a key signature analysis, which is almost like a preemptive step before we do this modulation, okay? Key 1 is the key that we've been in the second half, C minor. Key 2 is going to be G minor, all right? So I've got, again, the pattern order for C melodic minor, C, D, D sharp, F, G, G sharp, A sharp, C, or C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, and C. And underneath it, I've got the pattern order for melodic minor of G, G, A sharp, C, D, D sharp, F, G, or G, A, B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G. Okay. And I've put a star, a little marker next to this note, which if you actually look is the only note that is different between these two scales. There's only one note that's different. Every other note is common. C, D, D sharp, F, G, A sharp, and C are all common. So there's one key that's different between these two, and that's extremely relevant because I don't know if this is a real term, I just made this up, but I've called this a differentiator key, okay? It's the only key that I can identify, which is going to be different between the C minor and G minor key signatures, okay? Cool. All right, so I wonder, what's going on with this MIDI? I just want to make sure that I've got MIDI because I do need to play you a few things here. I don't, in fact, have MIDI. That is not good. What's going on? Jesus, this doesn't feel good. Ah, there we go. All right. I can't share my VMPK, but it's fine. No, show of hands, you got audio? Okay. You got audio, lovely. All right. Let's rock and roll. So if I play C minor, and I play G minor, the only note that's discernibly different is the A or the G sharp. In C minor's case, it's G sharp, A flat, and in G minor's case, that is sort of raised to the A. As I was saying, that's what I describe as a differentiator key, the only key that's different between the two key signatures, okay? Cool, so, sorry guys, this modulation there's so much fuckery in modulation, I'm just being very delicate with what order I explain these concepts to you. I think let's go back to the notes for a second. I'm showing the notes, huh? Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So are you guys with me about if you draw out these two scales, you see this differentiator key, it's all good. And obviously I need you to be and before you do this, you would need to be playing both scales. And what I'd actually do is I'd start playing the same progression in two scales. So let me give you an example. I'm gonna go C minor, D sharp major, G minor. Okay, that's in circle 1, or that's in key 1, that's C minor. That's a 6, 1, 3 progression. Okay, now I'm going to do that same progression in G. listening? Now modulates. Okay, so we're going to get there. I just want to show you basically the principle. Okay. So what we're going to do is, let me lay out my logic for you here. Okay. Firstly, this differentiator key thing, at the mono level of the scale, we see it represented like this, where one note is different. Now let's translate that into chords, okay? So let me show you how it translates into the world of polyphony. One chord in this sequence is going to change mode, okay? One chord changes mode, and that chord in this modulation is F. In C minor, in C minor, F is at 2, it's on the minor side of the circle, and it's a minor. In G minor, A sharp major, it's F major, and it's on the other side of the circle. So one note is different, but when we chord them at the chord level, one chord is different. In the C minor musical universe, we'll play F as minor at 2, and in the G minor musical universe, we'll play F major at 5. Okay, so I'm going to use the term pivot chord as the chord that's different between them, as a chord that you can use to jump in between them. Okay, so bear with me, bear with me. All right, so let's just go and forget everything I've just said and focus on this first circle, which is the circle we'll be doing the whole day. Here's C minor. I'm going to come up with a progression, and my progression is going to be C minor, D sharp major, G minor. Okay, the 6-1-3 progression, and as I explained in the last lesson, in minor it's a 1-3-5, but I truly at the harmonic level, correct to say it's a 6-1-3. So here it is. A bit more complicated. Okay, 6-1-3, beautiful. And I've set that up, and now I want to modulate straight away. I'm going to try and set up the modulation straight away. So basically what that means is that exact same mathematics of 6-1-3, I'm going to now just move into another musical universe, and I'm just going to play that exact same mathematics, okay? All right, so here we go. And in fact, I've got this. I can show it to you in MIDI. Share, Ableton. Let's move along to progression number 3. You can see the color coding went to another level. Very basic voicing on this modulation progression. All right, so here's the first part of my progression. And it is C minor, D sharp major, G minor. Let's listen to that. I think this one needs to be a bit faster. So we're kind of in this loop. C, sharp, D. Alright. Okay. Now let's listen to the second half where I just move. Basically, I just move and I just play that exact same progression with G as the new 6. I'm not setting it up yet. I haven't done anything to announce it. I'm just doing it, okay? So I was in a 1-3-5, a 6-1-3 progression in C. Now I calculate, I go to the fifth world, which is G. I've got the 2 circles parallel, which I'll show you in theory now, and I just move and I do that exact same progression from the new time. Wait for it to loop again, I'll show you. C minor, A sharp major, G minor. Don't announce the thing, just skip. G minor, A sharp major, G minor, and back. And skip. Okay, cool. Any huge questions there? All right, so now that you've kind of heard it, now I can be a bit more specific, all right, about exactly how we lay out this sort of progression. Okay, so again, I've done two things to set this up. I've said, firstly, I'm going to modulate. From where to where? From a key that I chose, which is C minor, to its fifth key, okay? Now, that's not the same as going C minor, G minor at the chord level. In fact, I wanted to show you guys, which is like, it's the 1-5 concept at 3 different levels of complexity, okay? And you can hear my piano, right? So I'll show you. First level of complexity, I go from the note 1 to the note 5. C, G, note for note. Second level of complexity, I do that same thing, but I chord it. I go from the chord C, 1 through 5, to the chord G, 1 through 5. It's a chord progression, 1, 5. Now I increase that complexity one last time. And now I go from an entire musical universe in C that's related to C to an entire musical universe in G that's related to G. That's the third level of complexity. So I could, for example, what I'm doing here is I'm going 6, 1, 3, roll 1, and then 6, 1, 3, roll 2. Okay, and that's a full modulation. Now, this is a bit of a tricky one. It was the one I liked the most. It just sounded cool. But it's quite hard to understand because it's only when I hit that A, okay? It's the only thing that can tell my brain, hey, you've modulated, is when I move that G sharp to an A, because it's the only note that's different. It's exactly like if I'm trying to tell the difference between major and minor, I've got to look at the third. The third has the power to define the mode, okay? This note has the power to define the key signature and therefore the overall macro harmonic world that this composition is taking place in. Okay, does that make sense? So it's extremely important because as I switch the mode from minor to major, or as I switch this note from G sharp, which is the F minor third, to A, which is the F major third, or I switch this mode of the F, however you want to say it, the brain says, hang on, it is absolutely mathematically impossible to be in C minor and be playing A, okay? In the default way of thinking. There's exceptions to that in jazz. In the default way of thinking, if I'm hearing A, can't be in C minor, I must have moved to G minor, or I can't be in D sharp major. I can't be in D sharp major. I have to be in A sharp major. If I hear F as a major chord, okay? It's very important. Are you with me? I'm even a bit confused. That's how squirrely this shit gets. Fuck me. So give me, everybody's with me. Let's get on with it. We're getting it. Okay, lovely. Fantastic. Okay, so people are half. Okay, we're going to do this a few times, guys, and you may have to watch this video a few times. And also I'm going to I'll send you the MIDI files. It takes a while. I did this with one of our interns yesterday, Tao, who's a fairly good musician, just to gauge how I was going to go down today. And it took him about 90 minutes of really sitting, playing each mode separately and then merging them. And that's the key. Why would I modulate? Like, imagine, I'm trying to think of a metaphor here. It's like, yeah, I've got no reason to modulate. I don't have a metaphor for you. Sorry, I'm all out of metaphors. But there's no reason to modulate unless I know both worlds fairly well, intimately well. I've got to do something in C, and I've got to do something in G, and I've got to like them both. And then I sort of want to bring them together, where I've got to have some sort of coherent idea that's got to follow me from musical world 1 to musical world 2. Okay. If I don't have an idea or a concept, it's going to be very hard to execute. So that's why I said in the notes, it's extremely beneficial to repeat a progression when you start modulating. 6-1-3 in circle 1 to 6-1-3 in circle 2. That's a really, really good example. It could be 4-5-6 in circle 1 is another one I do. 4-5-6 in circle 2 is another really common one. Okay, so I'm just going to go through this whole thing again. I've decided to modulate. I've decided I want to do this insanely complicated piece. I'm doing an intro for my live set, let's say. Forget about techno, because probably I have never modulated in a techno track. It's all like cinematic pieces and a bit more beautiful, sort of harmonic, avant-garde, cinematic music. Okay, so I'm doing this piece, whatever I'm doing it for. I've decided I'm going to modulate. The easiest way to modulate is to just go from whatever root key I chose to that root key's dominant, to the root key's fifth. Okay, so I do this key signature analysis. I say C, D, D sharp, F, G, G sharp, A sharp, C. And then when I look at G, I see only one note is different. G sharp, A flat. Okay, so in the mode of C, I play this as G sharp, and in the mode of G, let's actually refer to this correctly. In the mode of C minor, D sharp major, the key signature contains G sharp. And in the mode of G minor, A sharp major, the key signature contains A, right? So G or A sharp in C minor and A in G minor, A sharp major, all right? Therefore, this single key is what's known as the differentiator key. It can tell us what key signature we're in. If I hear G sharp in the key signature with that series of notes, I'm in C minor's D sharp major's musical world, definitively, unequivocally, okay? If I hear A, can't be, I must be in G minor, A sharp major's macroharmonic world, okay? As the note changes, when I get that down to chords, a chord changes. When I play F in this musical world, I play it as F minor. And when I play F in this musical world, I play it as F major. Therefore, F is the pivot chord. It's the chord that pivots me. It's the chord that pivots me definitively into the new musical universe. Or, and I haven't used that because I'm going to show you an example where I use F as the pivot chord, or the note A. If I play the note A in any chord, as soon as I raise G sharp to A, it definitively moves the key signature. Okay, so here we go. So the 6-1-3 progression in two different worlds. I start in C minor, I go to D sharp major, and I end up in G minor. G minor is also common, so G minor starts the next row. Okay, and I do the same thing, 6, 1, 3, okay? To get super technical with you, it's only at the moment when I come into this D minor chord that I play the note A for the first time, because D minor is DFA. So it's all ambiguous until that point, but when you hear that A, the brain's like, hang on, some fuckery has occurred here, and I'm in a completely different key, and it doesn't quite know how it got there. So I'm playing 6, 1, 3. Now I'm moving to G, which I know is the 6 of the new key, but my listener doesn't know. 6, 1. Now when I play this A in the D minor, fuck did that happen? I'm in a completely new key. All right, now I can stay in this key. So watch this. So I'll start in C minor. I'm going to move to G minor, and then I'm going to capitalize. I'm going to choose one, and I'm going to go from there. So I'll start off kind of tentative. Let's go C minor, D sharp major, G minor. Now I'm going to move G minor, D sharp major, no, A sharp major, G minor. Now I'm going to capitalize on this G minor. I'm going to start really playing. Okay, so I've got so much latency, it's impossible to play these keys while it's running through Zoom. It's very difficult. Okay, so let's keep it at this. There's no cadence right now. I'm just showing you again, very simple logic. C, I've actually drawn the arrow from C to D sharp to G minor. I sort of root over there. I put this at 6 in the new world, and I do the same progression. You can actually literally see it's the same shape. It's like when you swipe to open your phone. It's got that exact same shape of the harmonic progression. Okay, I'm trying to keep my secret reveal for last. All right. That was a lot. I think we just covered a lot. It's not a lot. It's like only a few sentences, but it's very, very information dense. So I'm just checking in on you guys again. Very cool. Any chaos there, Tash? 100%. Okay, can we just get a show of hands? Do you understand this? Like I can do that again. I can do it in a different key. There's a whole bunch of ways. But But I think just to reiterate it from the beginning of the logic chain in this key, before you try this in another key, will be the most effective way. And just remember, we're sending out this video and the MIDI files and a whole bunch of other things. And now that you know that modulation exists, you can just go research it in your own time a little bit better. I'll take this opportunity while everyone's sort of letting this settle in to just say, I just want to be clear, because I know a lot of people did sign up for the Patreon. Some people are getting a bit emotional because I wasn't posting, and I do apologize. It was a heavy week last week, but I do have big plans for Patreon, guys. I'm taking it super seriously. I think today is a good indication of sort of the level of things that are going to be happening on the Patreon. Obviously, it's not going to just be super advanced, nerdy music theory. There's a lot of more cool, techno-orientated, like modular synths and stuff. And I actually announced the first ever exclusive Patreon workshop. It's next week, Thursday, the 7th of May at 10 a.m. The topic is an introduction to modular synthesis with VCV Rack. I'm going to blow your fucking heads right off, because VCV Rack has blown my head off. It's so cool. And it's basically a cool way for anybody to get into modular synthesis. So I can't recommend it enough. If you're on my Patreon by next week, we're going to do that exclusive workshop. And the cool thing is there's going to be a bit more dialogue in terms of choosing. My aim, as I said on the Patreon, is to do bi-monthly. I want to do one music theory class and one tech/synthesis/other class a month. So yeah, unfortunately, today is the last free music theory lesson. So if you want to carry on, there's only one way to do it, and that's sign up to the Patreon. But obviously, if you really want to know something, just send me an email or something. If it's a tiny query, I'm happy to help you. But yeah, as I said, this is just a hell of a lot of work. I really am enjoying it. But when it comes to this modulation stuff, you saw today, the level of examples you got to do is just so high that it actually ends up, it's kind of cool because I'm making music for myself while doing it. But yeah, it is a lot of work, and I think to continue it, we've definitely got to form a little Patreon community. We can carry on looking at it. And I've actually started following super cool dudes. I follow a dude called Omri Cohen, who's another dude. He's such a fucking wizard. And he's super into modular for software, and just, yeah, the level out there of free education right now is just insanely good if you're a music producer. And there like really is no excuse to not be growing every aspect of your skill level every day if you're serious about this, other than just laziness. And one thing that this class has taught me, almost end of the rant, is just I have been lazy. Like I haven't really been pushing my theory further. So I want to thank you guys, because this has actually been an opportunity for me to really dig deep and say, okay, what I know about voicing, and sort of plot a path for my own progression as a musician as well, which is really important, because if you're not evolving, folks, you're dying. Are we good to go? Is everybody chilled? What's the consensus? Hundreds. All right. I'm going to take you through this logic chain one last time, and then I'll take you through another progression that does a similar thing in the same key. Now you see, I saved this. One last thing. Cadence, motherfuckers, right? That's been a recurrent theme in this lesson. There's something else that cadences do, okay? Aside from just create the perception that you're going home. So that's the first thing that cadences do, is if you're writing for film, they can close a phrase. So let's say we've got this really. Actually, I can play it for you now. Yeah, I'll play you a perfect cadence in C. All right. So here's. I'm just going to start in minor with all this tension. E minor. Okay, so there's a lot of tension in this piece. Now let me resolve that tension by doing a perfect cadence. In that key, in this key, it's A sharp major. And close. Let me leave that setting down. Sorry, I want to do it again. That's terrible example. Jesus. C minor, go to G minor. Now I'm going to go A sharp major and D sharp major. That feels like a perfect cadence. Okay. So I was playing in C minor. I'm hovering around this part of the circle. Are you seeing Ableton or the notes? No, it's okay. I'm hovering around this part of the circle. I'm going here. I'm doing whatever. There's all this tension. Eventually, I decide I'm over this. I want to close this phrase, and I go up and I use the cadence to return back to this moment, to this starting major, and all that tension dissipates. No matter how much tension, I could be in minor for 6 minutes. Now let's go. Let me play. That's the 5 chord. That's A sharp major. That's a proper cadence. Okay, so I actually resolved from the 5 chord, the A sharp major, the classic cadence. And my point there is that that's the first function of cadences. They do this thing. Even if you just play, this is what's so powerful about cadences that I was showing Tao yesterday. Is if I just play, let's say I'm doing an advert. I haven't even played C minor a single time, but all I want to do, it's like, hi, get your tires at Tiger Wheel and Tire. Go for it. Okay, that's kind of the sort of emotion of the cadences. It's a complete close. So you can have like a voiceover artist that just says something, and all you do is you just play A sharp major. Done, we're done, yeah. All right, so that's the perfect cadence. That's the first function of the cadence. Function number 2, as I've shown you, is to be deceptive. Set up that expectation for a complete resolution from 5 to 1. No, I'm not going to give it to you. I'm going to reroute you back to the 6th chord, which is a relative minor, and then restart the flow of building tension. That's option 2, okay? But the third thing that they do, which is, it's kind of the same thing, but it's in a different context, is they announce and define the key. Okay, so as I was saying, the cadence is so powerful that even if I just go A sharp major, I instantly know I'm in D sharp major. I go from A sharp major to D sharp major, I instantly know I'm in D sharp major, C minor. So my point to this long speech that I'm giving you is this. When we are modulating, one of the most powerful things, because what's happening now at this stage is there's ambiguity. I've got progression in circle 1, 6, 1, 3. Let's do it together. That's circle 1, 6, 1, 3. Okay. Now I go to circle 2 and I do the same progression. Again. Okay. Now I'm kind of not sure. I've managed to move successfully from the musical world of C minor to G minor. And I know that I've done that successfully because at some stage I play an A. And it's absolutely impossible to play an A in the key of C minor. It's just not allowed. So I've definitely modulated. But what is my true home now? Because now I'm sort of like, imagine it's like the opening scene of a film, and you're sort of like in Game of Thrones, they show you like how big the Game of Thrones universe is. That's a good metaphor, because I'm sort of saying to my listener, this composition has a lot of musical worlds involved. And I'm setting the stage now, because I've moved once between them, I'm now setting the stage to do this at will for the rest of the composition. I can choose a moment and I can move at any time between C and G. But what's going to happen is there's a little bit of confusion from the listener. They're saying, I'm not entirely sure what the true tonic note is, what the true tonic music universe is, the true home is. And that's where the cadence comes in. The cadence says, oi, forget all the confusion, whatever was happening before this. When I play this V7 chord and I come back to either 6 or 1, it is absolutely definitive. It is absolutely resolved what key I'm actually in, the current true tonic note. Because that's what the brain wants to understand. The brain is always looking to understand where the true tonic is, okay? So modulation is great, but it can create some ambiguity, some confusion around the actual tonic notes. The answer to that confusion is use a cadence to define the tonic more clearly. So if we go back now, almost done with all of this. If we go back and we look at the second half of this progression. So first half, I just start with the C, D, G. We could have multiple loops of that before you modulate. Take it really slow so you can hear it. The moment you know you've modulated, because that A is in there. Let's go back. I'll do that one more time. I have not used a cadence in either key. Extremely important. Now I'm going to commit to G. Watch this. I'm in G. I'm committing. And I'm going to stay here. Watch. Cadence. see, when I come back to that G, the brain's like, oh shit, this is the new home. Boom, no more confusion. I know G is the motherfucking new minor tonic. It's the new 6. My doubt has been eluded. So really what I got to do is I got to do a free little intro in C minor. As soon as I used that cadence that says this is the true tonic. Now I could have gone both ways. I set up this analysis. I did my key signature analysis. I go C minor, G minor. I look at what's different. I identify the differentiator keys. Then I create a progression that differentiates and I move between them, okay? Now I've set up this musical universe. It's like a pan over this giant universe, right? And I'm saying, hey, this composition that I'm writing, motherfuckers, it exists in this gigantic space between one musical universe and another. And I'm free to sort of meander between the two musical universes as I see fit. But at some stage, I need to say, oi, here's a cadence. This is my new tonic. Let's rock and roll in one of these keys. So you're going to have like a focal, you're going to have like a primary musical universe and sort of a secondary one. I was 50-50 in this composition until I did a cadence. When I did a cadence, it committed me to G minor and I'm grounded solidly in G minor. I want to play that for you one more time. Then I'm going to play you that beautiful piano. And we can call it a day. It's been a journey, hey? It's been a journey today. Wow. Okay, I'm in C, 613. Let's actually loop that a few times because I want to sort of give you the impression that I'm in C. A lot of good composing is about perception. I'm giving you every indication that I'm in C. Okay, let's open up. Unexpected, just change. If that helps to turn it down, but you can hear I'm still this ambiguous. I'm still in C. Now I'll go to G and I cadence. No cadence yet. And that for me is the most powerful moment in the composition so far, because you hear the cadence, you ground into the new tonic, and now you're like, all right, where are we going with this? Now I feel like I'm ready for this tonic, and I start building tension and like expand even more. So guys, there we go. I mean, literally, we've been doing theory for 6 hours. We've had 2 3-hour classes, and we've gone from identifying the names of the notes on the keyboard all the way through to modulation. It's been an epic journey. I've really enjoyed this. Very challenging to try and explain this all to such a wide audience, but you guys have been incredible. I think the level of comprehension and dedication to this class is amazing. Thank you guys for taking this 6-hour journey with me. I can assure you it's only the start. We could literally keep doing this forever. So yeah, I'm not trying to hard sell you on the Patreon, but I am going to carry on doing this if you want to be involved. Please come with me on this journey, and it gives me an excuse to carry on just delving deeper and deeper into modes and all kinds of stuff, and explore those things with you together. And then just to stress, it's not just going to be that, it's going to be a lot of synthesis. You can see, can you see all the juicy shit I have behind me? Let's be honest. We're going to whip out the modular rack. We're going to take out the Prophet. We're going to do analog sequencing. I am fucking obsessed with sequencing right now. And if I take this shit and I should start showing you how we translate this into modular, it's like a whole new universe. Like, we've literally been in here, Tash will attest to this, we've literally been in here with our mouths open every night, just blown away at what the sonic potential is of merging this level of music theory with this level of hardware. So yeah, we're just getting started. And yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and let's keep raising that level. Let's keep raising that level up. Thank you so much, guys. I absolutely love you. Do you want to hear the cool piano thing one more time? And then we'll call it a day. Sweet. All right, and should I freeze this then? Let me freeze it so that it's not struggling so much. You see you swoon. Legend. What's up? You're almost done, yeah. I'm not doing this.
Oh, 2 hours running strong.
All right, that's cool. 2 tracks frozen. One last play of this piano, and I'll work the filter a little bit, and we're done. Let's start without the lead. Tempo, yeah, I like it at 70. Guys, you've been amazing. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. I'll see you next week for the last one. Oh, I decided today, next week is going to be live because I just wanted to, I think we've had like a drop off from like almost 100 people to 50, and that's perfectly understandable because we're doing some proper high grade shit here. I just wanted to have one of these that's a bit more accessible for sort of more entry level producers. So next week I'm going to show you my live setup. We're going to play some riffs. We're going to play some hardware. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'll see you next week at 10 a.m. Please give us some love, spread the word, share it, and we'll see you. Have a good time. Make music, do your homework. I love you guys. Ciao.